Welcome to this next installment of Pocket Change. And this time we're going to be looking at mapping business dynamics. Now, there are a lot of ways you can do this, and I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to give you one, which is a really handy tool as well. And then we'll go into your practical tool. And it's rather short today, but it's very good for getting the right mindset about change and how big it is and what direction it goes. So let's get started. What I'm going to suggest you use is the strategic business model canvas. I think it gives the best overall view of the business. It drives the discussions that you want to have in your team. And so I'm going to continue with that here in this video. So business models are stories, really, that explain how an enterprise works. It answers Peter Drucker's questions about who is the customer and what do they value. And it should answer the big question about how we make money. And you should do this dry-eyed and without emotion and without a bunch of politically correct nonsense coming into your discussions and ruining your business. As the detective used to say in the old 1960s police series, just the facts, ma'am. So get stuck in with just the facts. And you should get stuck into this business model canvas. Let's walk through it. One of the benefits of the business model canvas is it's pretty self-explanatory. However, I'd start in the middle. I'd start with the value proposition. What is it that makes us money? Why do people buy from us? And you can download these things online, and it comes with the business model canvas. And for each section, it's got different little questions on there. Questions that'll help you sort of start the conversation about that particular aspect. So I'd start with the value proposition, and then I'd just go around however you think you should do that. Within the value proposition discussion is customer segmentation. And so, here again, answering questions about the customer, going up into key partners, for example, in the upper left-hand corner. Who are our key partners? What do they do for us? Have they taken over important parts of our business that, well, we could take back, or we need to leave out there, or we find someone else to take over it more efficiently because of the strategy, because of the change that we're currently in. Also, who are our key customer relationships? Who are those customers out there that are the most profitable? Who are the biggest ones? Who are the oldest ones? Who are the legacy ones? Who are the ones we want to keep? And who are the ones we want to get rid of? That's a big discussion as well. And we can continue with key activities, key resources. What kind of resources do we actually have? What are our real revenue streams? And what is our cost structure? So bringing all of these things together in a big conversation, let's say within the guiding coalition, helping everyone to understand how this beast works together. So that's not too hard. Any of you could do that. Here are the problems that I've come across with using it. One is no one wants to talk about it. It's too much like hard work. We haven't ever really thought about it before. And oh my goodness, if I have to sit down with him or her and then explain some things that I think are very basic, what a nuisance that will be. I encourage you to get over that and go ahead and have the discussion. But I have sat down with CEOs before, and they've not been able to fill this in. And I don't think it's stupidity. It's just lack of discipline. They just can't orient their head to really think about that one thing and then, understand and go through the whole thing, let alone go through this with their whole team. So this is one reason why you need a consultant or a facilitator to get the team through this kind of conversation, because it can be unexpectedly contentious and even poisonous sometimes. The second thing is we might not want to talk too openly about some of these things. Who are our key partners? Who are the customers that we want to keep? And maybe, executive management says we need to keep customer A, and they have their own secret reasons for keeping customer A that we can't really discuss with anyone else about. And again, this also poisons, this corrupts the whole situation. Of course, there are things that upper management just cannot share. It would be illegal, or it would disrupt some kind of other strategic initiative going on. But most of the time, people are just protecting their territory, just not wanting to share information. There's low trust and low ability to confront each other in healthy ways. And those are things that you can also work on in the guiding coalition. And I've done this before. Have them go through a bit of team training on how to be a team that comes together and how to be open with each other, how to build trust, how to confront, how to hold each other accountable, and how to get those results is also an important aspect here. So I would say use the business model canvas, go through each of the little boxes, answer all of the little questions, throw in a few more of your own, and try to help the guiding coalition get a holistic idea of what it is that we are trying to accomplish, what effect that will have on the business, what effect that will have on our ability to make a profit, and be able to anticipate the things that we will need to do in order to ensure long-term continuity of the business. Now let's go over to another practical tool. And this one is less a tool and more an insight on how to move forward, how to characterize the big change that you're going to do in your organization. So when we think of change, how should we do it? Should we have a revolutionary change? Should we just explode off the ground and get there as fast as we can? Or should we take a very step-by-step, sort of one breadcrumb after another? Well, I have some insight here for you that I think should be quite valuable. And most people that I've talked to feel like it is intuitively correct. When we talk about things like a big bang, that's okay, but let your big bang be the announcement of the change, the announcement of the goal, the big goal out there on the horizon. Bang, that's what we're going for. Let that be your big bang. But don't let everyone come in Monday morning and find that the building is locked and then there's another address we're supposed to report to, and it's another bigger, shinier building or something like that. Big bang, all of a sudden we don't work here anymore, we have to go to another building, or something like that. That's not what I mean. The big bang is the announcement. This is what we're going to do. This is our aspiration. This is where we're going to be in a couple of years, say. From there, we can go all out revolutionary change, light the rocket and send it up. But we haven't really brought people along, so the culture hasn't changed. Culture being how we do things around here. And so that kind of acts as gravity and just pulls that rocket back down. Well, some people say, let's do an incremental change. And there the problem is that sometimes it just doesn't build up enough critical mass. We do a little change and a little change and a little change, and that just kind of gets sucked into what we're already doing and maybe ignored and maybe pushed out here. And so it never builds up enough, if you will, escape velocity. So revolutionary change, it increases the gravity. Incremental change, it doesn't build up the right escape velocity. So what do we do? We've made the announcement of the big bang, the big change out there on the horizon. What do we do now? And the insight here is something called chunking. So we make the announcement, that's where we're going, and then we take chunk steps. We'll make one big step here. We'll take a second big step in 6 months. We'll take another big step after that. And then we'll finally reach that place where we want to be. Now, how might you do this? Well, you should link the change with identity and culture. Yeah? Make sure that identity and culture are not acting as extra gravity against this change. You should do it stepwise, just like the chunks, and always linked to the big picture, the big bang, the dot on the horizon. We should go through the process of sense making and sense breaking. In other words, making sense with the new situation and breaking sense with the old situation. And so this requires some communication and some leadership. We're breaking sense. We're leaving what was, and we're making sense. We're integrating into ourselves where we are going. We should, of course, do the old looking for low-hanging fruit, get those little victories in where you can, and understand what the organization can actually take, which should inform how big those chunks are. So I'll give you an example. We're going over to a different style of working. Let's say you're implementing an agile organization or something like that. What you may do is have one chunk where you've introduced this whole concept and you are getting people's minds in the right place and showing them why this would be a good thing to do. You're integrating it into their identity and into the culture. The next big chunk might be taking one team who serves one customer and having them flip completely over to the new system and start to work on that. And then, you can have Friday afternoon in the cantina. Somebody can say, hey, team A is working with customer A in this new way. These things are going well. These things seem to be difficult. This is what we're going to be doing next, and keeping people up to date so they've got an idea of what it is to work like this. One of the teams, at least, is working in that way. And then the next chunk might be, we're going to use the software or systems or processes that team A has been using with customer A, and we're going to roll those out to the other teams. We've got the initial problems worked out, and we're all going to start to work that way. And then, more customers are integrated. So you've got some big chunks that you do, maybe in 6-month chunks or quarterly chunks, letting people get used to the idea and integrate the idea, make sense of the idea, and break sense with what they were doing before. So when you're going to do your change, revolutionary, sending off that rocket is very spectacular, but it doesn't usually work very well. Just taking little bitty steps and trying to get there also doesn't work so well. It doesn't build up the escape velocity you need. It seems like chunking it. So saying that we're going to have a chunk here and a chunk there and a chunk there as a way of getting the change through seems to be the best way to approach a big change. So for the moment, that is it for this video from Pocket Change. Next time we come together, we'll talk about mapping the people dynamics. Until then.